This true ghost story comes from a writer who wrote into Reddit, and this is how it goes. When I was 8, I would walk home from school every single day. It took me about 10 minutes. I would be home by myself every day for about an hour and a half before my parents came home, and my older brother went to a different school, so he was always late home as well. I was used to this alone time. I'd sink into the couch and watch cartoons before my family came home and took over. I actually really enjoyed the alone time. I was raised in a very Christian home and was very sheltered. I would get into trouble watching Power Rangers sometimes because the bad guys were so evil. I remember being taught that after you die, you either go to heaven or hell. You don't get a say whether you're going or not. So that means that there is no such thing as ghosts. Or so I thought. One day after school, I came home to the same routine, but this time standing in the corner was a dark figure, the height of the door frame, and it was staring at me. It looked like the textbook Grim Reaper minus a scythe. It had a long black tattered robe and skeletal features showing. The most disturbing thing was its grin. It looked like a skeleton, but it wore a long grin. Keep in mind, I had never heard of The Nightmare Before Christmas or anything else I could relate to it. Of course, I startled by seeing such a horrific sight, but I literally didn't believe what I was seeing. I remember saying out loud, "Wow, my imagination is really jacked up." I would just keep calling myself a stupid little kid with a stupid little imagination. It helped me to make sense of what I was seeing, and it made it easier to deal with, because I could see a ghost. But remember, there's no such thing. It had to be my imagination. I saw it every day after that. It would never say a word, but if I looked at it, it would lean its head at me as if to say, "I see you too." It always left when my family came home, but I saw this thing every day for 3 months straight. It started to get more aggressive the more comfortable I became. I questioned my sanity every day, just telling myself that it just didn't make sense. I'm seeing a ghost, but how? Because ghosts aren't real. I would say I don't believe in ghosts, but that's what I was taught. But I'm still seeing a ghost. I don't understand anything. And as the days went by, I became more and more scared of it every day. This thing started cutting me off. I would be so uncomfortable that I would go into my room upstairs. It would move slowly, as if underwater, and then quickly zip, as if it teleported onto the stairway, leaning over the staircase, while looking me in the face to block me from going to my room. I was stuck to my little corner of my couch with the smiling skeleton that wanted something from me. The best way I could relate to how it moved was like the ghosts from the movie 13 Ghosts. That was actually pretty spot on. I never told my parents or anyone else what I was seeing. I was afraid my parents wouldn't believe a stupid little kid. And honestly, I was afraid of getting into trouble. My brother would just call me gay and tell everyone to make fun of me. One day I slowly walked home with about 6 inches of snow on the ground. I came home and this thing, like every day, was waiting for me. I sat on the couch in fear, like always. This time it zipped in front of my face and took its hands and shrouded them over my face as if it wanted to grab me and then zip back. For the first time I screamed as loud as I could and ran outside. My parents came outside to me crying, sitting in the snow. My parents asked me what was wrong, and the first thing I said was, "I know, I'm a stupid little kid with a stupid little imagination and you're never going to believe me." After I told my parents, I expected them to look at each other in disbelief and make me look under my bed for monsters. They turned to each other and said in a stern voice, "Why didn't you tell us?" That scared me more than they knew, because they sounded like they knew something. My parents have never told me anything that would scare me before. But my parents told me the God-honest truth as if I was grown up. They told me that the people that lived in the house before us had a little girl that was demon-possessed in our house and took her own life. And now the demon wanted me. My parents immediately poured baby oil into a cap. They prayed over it and put a dab of it in the shape of a cross over every door and window in the house. After that, I saw it outside my kitchen window looking in. That is the first time I saw it outside. Then a week after that, and 2 weeks after that. But then I never saw it again. Whether anyone believes me or not isn't important. Whether it was my crazy 8-year-old brain like I thought, but I know what I saw, and I saw it for 3 months straight. No one can take that from me.